Okay, so welcome to the deep dive.
Hey there.
Our mission here is, pretty simple. You bring us the source material, could be articles, research, maybe even just your own notes,
Right.
and we basically cut through all the noise. We try to pull out the essential knowledge, the key insights.
Quickly and effectively, like a shortcut to getting up to speed.
Exactly,
Yeah.
your shortcut. So today, we're doing just that. We're plunging into, well, a really interesting topic,
Mm-hmm.
looking at perspectives on love marriage versus arranged marriage.
Yeah, and specifically from the viewpoints in the material you shared, which focuses on Punjab.
Right, Punjab.
And I think it's important to say, right up front,
Right.
this source gives us a specific window. It's one cultural context.
Yeah, good point.
Our aim isn't to judge either type of marriage universally or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's really about digging into this source's perspective, understanding the ideas, the contrasts, the conclusions presented right here in these pages.
Exactly. So yeah, our mission for this deep dive, unpack the details from this source, contrast the two paths as it describes them,
Mm-hmm.
and really try to get what this source says are the essential ingredients for a successful marriage, however it starts.
Got it.
Okay, let's unpack this source.
Let's do it.
So the source really doesn't waste any time. It jumps right in, saying this whole love marriage versus arranged marriage thing is, quote, a hot topic in Punjab today.
Yeah, it frames it as very current, very alive, a real debate happening now.
And it immediately starts highlighting the core differences it sees.
Mm-hmm. And the sort of common viewpoints associated with each approach.
Okay, so let's dive into love marriage first, according to the source. It says the big advantage, the key thing, is knowing your partner beforehand.
Right. And it goes into why that's considered an advantage.
Yeah.
It suggests that because you know each other, things like friendship, mutual understanding, compatibility, they're kind of already built.
Ah, okay, so they're established before the wedding.
Exactly. It's like a foundation that's already been, tested in a way.
But then it flips to the challenges. And a big one mentioned here is often lacking family support.
Yeah, that comes up strongly. The source points to specific situations where this really becomes a problem, an obstacle.
Like when?
Particularly, it says, when there's a difference in caste or religion,
Ah, okay.
which in the context described can clash with, traditional structures or family expectations.
Right, and the source says the consequence is, it's significant. This lack of support may be combined with those differences.
Mm-hmm.
It creates emotional tension. And importantly, it says this affects both people.
Yeah, it's not just one person feeling it. It impacts the couple.
Okay. So shifting gears then, what about arranged marriage? The source highlights full family involvement is the key thing there,
Right, from the very beginning. Total family participation.
which, the source argues, actually brings some pretty big benefits.
It does. It emphasizes that this involvement means the couple gets crucial social support, from both families.
Yeah.
And maybe even more fundamentally, the relationship isn't just about two individuals starting out alone. It becomes a joining of two families.
A larger unit, yeah.
Mm.
But the source doesn't ignore the potential downsides either. It mentions that sometimes, even with all that family support, the relationship itself between the couple can feel forced.
Yeah, it acknowledges that, and it tries to explain why.
How so?
It connects it back to how the relationship starts, saying that sometimes there might just be a lack of that initial organic emotional connection between the partners themselves.
I see. Because they didn't necessarily choose each other based on that initial spark.
Potentially, yeah. That's the implication.
The source also brings up something interesting about different generations looking at this.
Oh, yeah, the age contrast.
Yeah.
It points out that, according to this material, older people in Punjab often still believe arranged marriage is, more durable. It lasts longer.
They see a stability in it.
Right, a perceived stability.
Whereas the younger generation.
Well, the source says they often see love marriage as more current, more practical maybe, better suited for today's world, perhaps a more individualistic outlook.
Interesting contrast there.
But then, and I think this is where it gets really insightful, the source kind of pivots.
Yeah. How?
It seems to move beyond just how you get married
Okay.
and focuses more on what actually sustains a marriage, in its view. This is where it gets really interesting. It offers its own kind of conclusion, its core advice.
Right. Like the debate itself is maybe less important than what follows.
Exactly. It basically synthesizes this core message. The single most important thing is that your thinking, your lifestyle, and your values are similar, aligned.
Ah, okay. So that deep alignment is presented as more foundational than, say, initial romance or family introductions.
That's what the source seems to be arguing, yes. Deep alignment matters most.
That it adds a bit more nuance to.
Yeah, it does. It says, while that core alignment is key, if you also have family agreement.
Regardless of whether it was love or arranged.
Right. Then the relationship, according to this source, becomes even stronger.
So that combination is like the ideal scenario in this view.
Seems like it, but it really, really hammers home this point about love versus understanding.
Okay, what does it say there?
It states it quite plainly. Love is necessary, yes, but understanding should be more than love.
More than love. Wow. What do you think that means based on the source?
Well, what's fascinating is it seems to suggest maybe love gets you started or it's part of the mix, but it's that deeper, maybe more practical, empathetic understanding of each other's minds, ways of life, core beliefs.
Yeah.
That's what gives it real staying power. It's a distinction that definitely makes you stop and think.
Yeah, it really does. Understanding over love.
Ah.
So, okay, let's pull all this together then. We've looked at the pros, the cons, the generational takes, this emphasis on alignment and understanding. What does this source ultimately say defines a successful marriage? What's the bottom line here?
The source actually gives a very clear definition, almost.
Yeah.
It says, the marriage that has respect, trust, and communication. That is the real successful marriage.
Okay, respect, trust, communication, the fundamentals.
Exactly. And crucially, it explicitly says this holds true whether it started as a love marriage or an arranged one.
Ah, so it transcends the how.
It boils it right down to those core relational elements. That's the ultimate measure of success, according to this text.
Wow. Okay, so this deep dive, it's taken us to these different views on love versus arranged marriage, specifically from this source on Punjab. We saw the pros, cons, the generational split. But then it really zeroed in, didn't it, on what this source thinks is crucial.
Yeah, that deep alignment in thinking, lifestyle, values.
Understanding being more than love.
And ultimately, that bedrock. Respect, trust, communication.
It really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from just the starting point.
It absolutely does. And what's so interesting there is exactly that, how the source moves past the structure of the marriage to distill success down to these basic, fundamental human elements: respect, trust, communication. It kind of raises an important question, actually.
It does indeed. And maybe that's something for you, the listener, to think about.
Yeah.
Consider how these core elements, respect, trust, communication, and maybe especially that idea of understanding being potentially even more vital than just love. How might those things show up or sometimes be missing in any important relationship in your life, not just marriage?
Good point.
And think about how prioritizing that kind of deep understanding, really clear communication, how that might change the dynamics in those relationships, no matter how they started.
Definitely something to chew on.
Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.